welcome to Crack a Pack Tuesday, number 33 on the Mana League. I'm John, as always, and it's time for some more Battle for Zendikar Crack a Packing. We're going to open this lovely little pack of Battle for Zendikar, hope for a really valuable card, but more importantly, we're going to talk through what the cards are and what we would take, pack one, pick one, in a draft. I've had pretty bad luck lately with the Battle for Zendikar Crack a Packs. Let's see if we can maybe pull back on that. Swell of Growth is our first card. 1 and a green for an instant. Target creature you control, target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. You may also put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. That, of course, is a relatively rare effect, and it will trigger landfall. In fact, I just kind of noticed that this is giving the common landfall trigger of +2/+2 to a creature, plus landfall. Of course, if you have a Predator or a Grove Rumbler or anything like that, this just gets so much better. Really good combat trick. Not remotely first pickable. You don't take this first pick. You take this much lower. If you're in green, though, I'm a pretty big fan of this trick. Next up, we've got a Mist Intruder, 1 and a blue for a creature Eldrazi drone. It's a 1/2, devoid, flying, and ingest. This is not a good creature, but it really fuels the ingest deck because it's really hard to block a 1/2 flyer on turn 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 for that matter oftentimes. Yeah, you want these if you're in that deck that wants them. If you're in blue-white flyers, maybe you'll take them, but otherwise you don't super want these cards. Blue-red, colorless as well. They could be good. You kind of know you want Mist Intruder after you've started to build your deck, after you've started to get the cards that you want. So it's not a first pick, and it's not a high pick. But once you start to want them, you're going to want to take them when you see them. But totally not first pickable. Next up, we've got Dutiful Return. 3 and a black for a sorcery. Return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. Not exciting. Sorcery speed. Slow. You have to pay 4 for it, so you're probably not going to cast those creatures. It's just not a good card. I've never really played it, and I don't really recommend ever playing it. Just bad card. Next up, we've got Blister Pod, a single green for a 1/1 that when it dies, it makes a Scion, a 1/1 that you can sack for mana. This is fine. Again, you really don't want to take these too highly. They don't really signify any specific archetype. Ramp is sort of where they belong, but you have to do some work in order to ramp this. If you can pair it with a sack outlet, it maybe gets a little bit better, but this is generally a little bit weak, and especially because green is arguably one of the weaker colors in this set. Totally not first pick. Cliffside Lookout, single white for a 1/1. Core Scout ally, 4 and a white to give all of your creatures +1/+1 until end of turn. It's an ally, so it triggers Rally. That's cool. It's a 1-drop, so if you need a 1-drop, you have it. And later in the game, you can give an Anthem to your team, maybe even 2 if you do have 10 mana available, but that's not terribly common. This is a fine. Let's go with okay. Let's say that okay is slightly below fine. I'm not sure how the fine okay hierarchy shakes out. It's an okay card. It's not one you're hunting down. It's not one that you're like, oh, wow, I'm so glad this Cliffside Lookout came to me. It's just not exciting. If you want one, you can get one. You don't need to waste a high pick on this, and totally not first pick. Hey, Outnumber. Single red for an instant. Outnumber deals damage to target creature equal to the number of creatures you control. This is very, very frequently Shock. Pretty darn frequently Lightning Bolt. And sometimes a spell that's never been printed before. 4 damage, 5 damage, 6 damage for a single red mana at instant speed. Rarely is it 0. Rarely is it 1 red mana to discard a card. It's just really, really, really good. There's better burn. There is Touch of the Void. Stone Fury, I don't know if I would put above Outnumber or not just at this moment. But Outnumber is pretty darn good. Not quite first pickable. I'd feel pretty bad if this was the first pick in the pack, but really good. Pretty high pick, especially if you know or have any suggestions that you're going to go towards red. I really, really, really like Outnumber. Gideons Reproach, more removal. 1 and a white for an instant. Gideons Reproach deals 4 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. This is white's standard removal. It's conditional. It has to be during the combat step. But thankfully, it's attacking or blocking. We have had only attacking or only blocking spells in the past, but this one just hits both sides on offense and on defense. 4 damage will kill a fair amount of the things that you want to kill. It's not going to kill the huge things, but it's going to kill an awful lot up to turn 5 or 6 or so. Really happy with this card. Kind of like Outnumber, though, I wouldn't be happy first picking it. It would be a bad pack if this was our first pick. But it is a relatively high pick, especially if you're in white. Next up, we've got Vestige of Emrakul, 3 in a red for a creature Eldrazi drone, devoid, trample, 3/4. That is all. 3/4 is really good stats. That blocks an awful lot of things and kills a fair number of things. The trample is sometimes useful. You know, your opponent can't just chump block with their scions all day. They're still going to take a couple damage off of it. And of course, if this is in blue-red, this might be a 4/4, it might be a 3/5, it may bestow some other sort of effects to you, on tap your Nettle Drones, etc. Really solid card on both offense and defense. I'm pretty happy to have these in most red decks, and especially blue-red colorless. However, it's not exciting. If you want one, you should probably be able to get one relatively late, so don't waste a high pick. Ghostly Sentinel, 4 and a white for a 3/3 Flying Vigilance Core Spirit. This is another solid card, but slightly expensive. You have to be the right white deck to make sure that you're going to get to 5. But if you get to 5, hopefully a 3/3 Flying Vigilance creature is going to be enough to get you through. This goes really well in the blue-white, I was going to say Spirits, because of my Innistrad drafting I've been doing. The blue-white Flyers deck. The blue-white Flyers deck uses things like Tightening Coils and even Fortified Ramparts if you want to get a bit control-y, ensuring you that 5 mana is nothing. And of course, 5 mana is relatively nothing in this format anyways, so I'm usually pretty happy with a Ghostly Sentinel. I don't think I would play multiples unless I was a super controlling deck and knew that I had tons of time available to me. But the first one I'm usually pretty happy with. Not a first pick, though. I hope this pack gets better. I hope this pack gets better. Dominator Drone, 2 and a black for a creature Eldrazi drone, devoid, ingest. A lot of people miss that ingest line there. When Dominator Drone enters the battlefield, if you control another colorless creature, target opponent loses 2 life. Each opponent loses 2 life. And it's a 3/2. Totally fine card. I'm pretty happy to play this as a 3 mana 3/2 with ingest. And very frequently you will get that trigger. You don't even necessarily have to build around it explicitly. You will probably just get this trigger because you'll probably have culling drones or maybe a sludge crawler or a scion from somewhere. The only place I wouldn't terribly be sure about putting this in would be black-white because there's no white colorless creatures to help get it up there. But it's not an exciting creature, just like Vestige of Emrakul. You want one? You can get one. Don't waste a high pick. Uncommons, Save Me. Well, this one does. To draw a war color, 3 green creature, elf, warrior, ally. It's got Rally. When it enters the battlefield, your entire team gets +2/+2, and it's a 2/1. 2/1 for 5. That's bad. The ability, insane. +2/+2 to your team is going to be huge, especially if you are in an ally deck, because that very well may mean +2/+2 in Double Strike, or +2/+2 in Trample, or +2/+2 in Menace, or any other disgusting configuration of abilities off your rally triggers. Green is relatively weak, as I said. This card is not. This card is a reason to go into green. Unfortunately, green is the weakest of the ally colors as well. Red and white, of course, are the 2 huge ones, and black is pretty darn good, a little bit behind it, a little bit more focused on the life gain abilities. So you do need to kind of weaken your ally deck if you're going to go green-white, or if you're going to go 3 colors even, which can be a bit risky. But this card's a good reason to go into it, and I would consider first picking to Drew a War Color. It's a really, really, really good card. Retreat to Emeria, 3 and a white for an enchantment. Landfall, whenever a land enters the battlefield, under your control, choose 1. Put a 1/1 core ally creature onto the battlefield, under your control. Creatures you control get +1/+1 till end of turn. So you get an ally and trigger all your rally abilities, or your team gets an Anthem. I actually played with this last night with Calastria Healer, 2 Calastria Healers, in fact. And making an ally every turn and draining for 2 was really, 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 really good. It's a solid retreat. It's probably... No, just flat out is my favorite retreat of the entire cycle. It's really, really, really solid. Both abilities are really, really, really good. And it's sometimes a hard decision as to which one you want to do. Whereas the other retreats, I feel like they all kind of have a default ability. And the other one just kind of falls off. I don't think I'd ever first pick it, though. This is a card that I want to see in Pack 2 or Pack 3 when I know that I'm in the ally deck, or I know I'm in a deck that's going to, kind of flood the board and really need those +1/+1 anthems each turn, or potentially the allies. But I'm pretty happy to see it in those packs. Pack 1, I'll pass this, I think, 99% of the time. Final uncommon, Dampening Pulse. 3 and a blue for an enchantment. Creatures your opponents control get -1/-0. I don't like this card. I don't like this card at all. I love seeing it on the other side of the battlefield because it means my opponent's just not really going to be doing much actively. They're hoping to slow me down, and I'll just continue playing the game. I'll just continue attacking. I'll just continue playing things. Now, of course, this does shut down your Scions. It turns them into spawns. It does, shut down your 1/2 flying Mist Intruders and things like that. But it's just not a card that I ever want to touch with a 10-foot pole. I can't stand Dampening Pulse. I would never play it, and I would never take it. For our rare, we get Endless One. I feel like we already had an Endless One in a crack pack. Endless One is an X casting cost. Creature Eldrazi. Endless One enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it, and of course it's a 0/0 by itself. It of course passes the vanilla test perfectly. It's a 1/1 for 1, a 2/2 for 2, a 22/22 for a 22. Whatever you want, whenever you want, this card's going to come down. If your opponent has stumbled a little bit, you can make this a bear. You can make it a 2/2 just to get in there and start being aggressive. You can make it a 5/5. You can cast this whenever you just are kind of, done with your mana. You can wait for your opponent to tap out in case they might counter it, etc. Really, really solid card. Just goes in every deck. It's colorless, so every single deck is going to be happy with this. Endless One is just a very, very, very good card. Any foil? No. Land and a token. So I think we're looking at Tadru Warcaller, Endless One, and some combination of Gideon's Reproach and Outnumber, but those are going to fall off right away. So I'm pretty happy taking the Endless One. Tadru Warcaller, again, green's a little bit weak. It's an amazing, amazing, amazing ally, but I just don't trust green anymore in this format. I've never had it work. I've seen constant discussions about how bad it is. And yeah, I'm just not a big fan of green in this format at all. Endless One, however, is just insanely good. It's not exciting. It's not splashy. It's not, there's no special abilities on it. It doesn't do anything, but it's just so versatile. You don't commit to a color. You don't commit to anything taking this card. All you commit to is playing Endless One regardless of what you draft. So I'm pretty happy taking Endless One, and I don't think I'd consider much else. Definitely let me know what you would have taken. Would you have taken the Warcaller over it? Do you like green a little bit more than me? Do you highly value the removal of Outnumber or Gideon's Reproach? Would you have taken Endless One or something else? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can find me on Twitter at The Mana Leak. That's LEEK, like the vegetable, not the card. And you can also find me on Facebook at facebook.com/The Mana Leak. You've already found me here on YouTube. You've got the comment section down below, as I said. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy my videos. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, I will see you all next time.